Hi there, and welcome to the first of quite a few Japan Airlines and Japan-related videos coming out in the next 2 months. Right now, I'm heading to New York's JFK Airport to board one of JAL's flagship routes to Tokyo Haneda. JFK Airport is in the borough of Queens to the southeast of Manhattan. The airport currently has 5 terminals, and today we're heading to Terminal 8, which is the local home of American Airlines. A little while back, American Airlines and British Airways consolidated their operation into Terminal 8, and around the same time, multiple other oneworld carriers began to do the same. Some 15-20 years ago, American invested quite a bit to overhaul the terminal, and since that time, their operations have slowly shrunk from JFK, and so this terminal has always been a little bit underutilized, until the consolidation. Before we head inside, let me welcome any of you that are new to the channel. My name is Kevin, and I am the Flip Flop Traveler. I'm here to give you honest content about flights, hotels, trains, and cruises. I paid for this stay out of pocket, and as always, the price that I paid is in the description below. Japan Airlines had no knowledge that I'd be filming, and I didn't receive any compensation for doing so. Everything in this video is my personal opinion, based on my own unique experience. The rest, I'll let speak for itself. Let's get started. I will let you guess what time of year this was. Japan Airlines check-in desks opened precisely 3 hours before departure, and so there were queues forming at each of the lines prior to opening. 2023 saw a record number of passengers for New York metro airports, coming in at 144 million, 62 million of which passed through JFK. Terminal 8 is one of the smaller ones though, with a capacity of just 12 million per year. A nice little data point that there's a standard upgrade fee from economy to premium on the route, and JAL really does treat their premium economy passengers well. Some would argue, too well. They share check-in lines with business class, and in Tokyo at least, they even get access to the business class lounge. I checked in a variety of 3 giant bags, through to Vietnam, and headed to security. And what would life be without a bit of variety, right? This part of the video is brought to you by Level 8 Luggage. I figured this would be a great video to pair this ad with, since this is the first major flight which my 20-inch and 28-inch Voyagers accompanied me on. Over the past months, my 20-inch has been by my side for 64 flights, coming in just over 80,000 miles. And what can I say? It's pretty freaking sturdy. So in the interest of that variety I spoke about, I'll soon be testing out one of these 2 bags. I'm deciding between the Hegent 20-inch carry-on or the Roadrunner 20-inch carry-on. Both of them have that same German-made Macrolon polycarbonate shell, so I knew both were up to the task, but I didn't quite make up my mind yet. The Roadrunner has the same shape and minimalist design as my Voyager, but with the added versatility of an extra laptop pocket and rounded corners. Then on the other side of things, we have the oh-so-stylish Hegent. The first time I saw this bag, I actually thought it was matte gray aluminum, but in fact it's that same polycarbonate which I love, but with an integrated aluminum frame and reinforced metal corners. I also kinda love the dampened soft grip handles. So we shall see. Next week I'm going on a relatively quick 15-flight trip, which will cover 34,000 miles. Oh, and by the way, all 3 of these options are available for under $230 when using my code KEVIN10 at checkout. And of course, they all come with their lifetime warranty. So if you're in the market for a new bag for you or a loved one, please use the link in the description below, which supports the channel. Then at checkout, enter code KEVIN10 for 10% off of your total purchase. I'll see you next month for a status check on which bag I chose and how it's holding up. Thanks as always to Level 8 for their support. So I would imagine during peak periods that this area gets pretty congested. The check-in hall is essentially shaped like a triangle. All of the passengers funnel down to this one passageway. Straight ahead will bring you to the satellite terminal, and to the left or the right are the lounges and the gates. American Airlines and British Airways jointly have 3 premium lounges in the terminal in addition to the Admirals Club. The Greenwich Lounge is more or less the business class lounge. The Chelsea Lounge is only for American and BA first class guests and the like, and in the middle we have the Soho Lounge, where all of the oneworld first class passengers are sent. I was honestly a bit surprised that a first class ticket didn't get you access to the highest lounge, but I ended up absolutely loving the Soho Lounge, so this is not a complaint. And now I bring to you some words strung together that I never thought I would say. Look at how beautiful this American Airlines lounge is. The color palette aside, I can't tell you how much the design inside here reminds me of the Singapore Airlines private room, the new one. This probably says more about the private room than here, but still, it's a gorgeous lounge with plenty of different nooks and private areas to work, relax, or eat. From what I've seen, the higher Chelsea Lounge is a much smaller space, so the open expansiveness here with the beautiful views is honestly the one that I would pick. And there's even a fireplace. I mean, come on. JFK has grown up. And of course, the plane spotting views don't hurt one bit. I had quite a few well-timed plane placements for the channel. I have a Turkish Airlines A380 video coming, as well as 2 LATAM videos, also an Air France A350 video, a couple American 737 videos, and a Cathay A350 video. I'm not sure if this was just good timing or if I just have a whole lot of stuff coming out this year. And we can follow up that gorgeous lounge with the strangest sink arrangements that I've ever seen. Why? And then let's take a look at an impressive food and drink spread on offer. As we look around, then head to the gate, let's talk a bit about JAL's very interesting history. So, Japan Airlines. They were originally founded in 1951 and were government owned. The Japanese government realizing the importance a national carrier would play through Japan's recovery. No surprise here. Their early years, though, did not unfold in the way I was expecting. Their first post-war domestic flights were crewed by California-based Transocean Airlines, which was part of Northwest Orient Airlines at the time. Just 3 years after this first flight, they were already flying to San Francisco on a DC-6 Bravo via Wake Island and Honolulu, designated as JL1 and 2, maintaining the flight numbers till this day. These flights were actually advertised as having an American crew and being serviced by United Airlines at SFO. By 1959, they were able to connect Seattle non-stop with a DC-7 Charlie. Honestly, this blew my mind a little bit. More my own ignorance than anything, but the fact that there was a non-stop service between the contiguous US and Japan in 1959 is not a fact that I would have guessed. In '67, they began a fifth Freedom flight from SFO to here at JFK. And in the 70s, they even began flying to Sao Paulo via San Juan and Mexico City via Vancouver. In 1987, they were privatized, bringing to life a more modern iteration of the airline that we know today. I'll touch on the decades that follow in my next video, but for now, let's switch to first class. So here is my aircraft for today. You may notice, it is not the brand new A350-1000 with the brand new first class. This is a 777-300ER. I booked this flight a full year in advance. At the time that I booked it, JAL hadn't even announced that there was a new first class coming at all. When they did make the official announcement and I found out about the first flight being in November of 2023, for sure, I was intrigued. But, and this is why you don't see me chasing newly launched aircraft, I was just very cautiously optimistic, at most. As we head down the jet bridge, let's take a look at today's flight stats. By October, the debut was pushed to December, and by November, it was pushed to January, so no new first class for me. Towards the end of the video, I'll tell you why I'm actually happy about that. But it is still first class, and as I learned very clearly on my recent Emirates first class flights, the food and the service and the experience are really what make first class worth the money. Or not. Let's be honest, there are no bad first class seats out there, just different levels of amazing. Stepping on board, I was greeted by the purser and invited to do the thing that we all love to do, turn left, to find my seat for the next 13 hours, 2 kilo. All of their 777s currently have this configuration with a total of 8 open suites, as they're generally called, in a 1-to-1 configuration. Just out of curiosity, a few weeks after the new first class was announced, and in the weeks and months that followed, I checked the cabin to see how many seats were open. And at one point over the months, the cabin was full, capped at the 6-seat capacity at the time. Once the introductions were delayed though, they started dropping like flies, and so on today's flight, there were just 2 of us in the cabin. Aesthetically, these cabins, which debuted with front-to-back refurbishments of the 777s in 2013, are just a little bit odd. Brown plays no role whatsoever in the JAL color story, and I can't really say that they've made it work on board either. That said, for the age of the suite, it was in pretty good condition. The seat itself is roomy and mostly comfortable, but some may find it a bit too upright and stiff, with a headrest that doesn't really do that much at all. Each suite has some privacy, but there are no actual doors on this version. It just feels a little bit Spartan and empty, kind of like an empty, semi-furnished apartment on the first day you move in. Waiting at each seat was a very crisp pillow and very not crisp blanket, along with an amenity kit, slippers, headphones, and menu for the meal services. I was proactively brought an orange juice, which I thought was a little bit odd, but I just went with it. Plenty of time to drink in the air. The suite has a series of small storage compartments, one of which is kinda sizable, just next to your seat. By this time, I'd interacted with a few of the crew on board, and it was a very formal and reserved affair, even for a Japanese carrier. Legroom is surely great, and you can fit any carry-on of any girth below the leg rest. And I gotta say, I'm thoroughly impressed that the slippers fit. We pushed back and the safety video began to roll, a video which I appreciated for its finite specificity. Surely one of the contributing factors to all JAL passengers surviving the A350 accident the week after this flight. If you head down to the description, you'll find my next 5 videos to come out, as well as a link to my other first class videos. On your way down there, don't forget to subscribe. I release full-length videos every Thursday and Saturday. I enjoyed my 4 suites to myself as we taxied to the runway. I always end up on the less exciting side during taxis at JFK. Oh well, the Spool Up, Take Off, and airport stats are coming up. And I should also mention that, despite the gray and dreary weather here, this is surely one of the most spectacularly beautiful flights that I've ever been on. So I'll share lots of those sights throughout the video. Let's get going. After we were in the air, I browsed the contents of the hefty literature pocket and found the signature uber-detailed seat description card. And then I realized there were two separate remotes, which I still don't understand the purpose of. As the first meal service is being prepared, let's sort through all of the comforts and amenities on board. As I mentioned, the pillow is crisp as anything and true memory foam. Some may find it a bit thin for sleeping, but you'll be offered a larger down pillow at turn-down service. The blanket, I mean, this looks and feels like a throw draped over the foot of a bed at a really nice 2-star hotel on a mountain somewhere. It was stiff, scratchy, and the opposite of everything that I look for in a blanket. And especially when you compare it to the incomparable A&A blanket. This was a letdown. Next up was the amenity kit. The kit itself is from Halliburton Zero, which I would assume most Americans find the name of very strange. Along with it is a Shiseido men's skincare kit. The contents were okay. Besides the Shiseido products, nothing that you wouldn't expect in an average business class kit. The box itself looked really nice, a bit Rimowa-esque, but felt really cheap. And then we had the lovely big enough slippers with an open toe and a shoehorn to boot. Along with that, the Bose headphones, which worked well for noise cancellation, but were in pretty rough shape, with the ear cup material peeling off. Finally, we have the pajama set, which felt cozy, but were otherwise very basic in color and design. So the amenities, overall, a bit below what I would expect for first class on one of their flagship routes. I always get questions in the first class videos about what you can keep. The slippers, amenity kit, and pajamas are yours should you choose to take them with you. Okay, let's get ready for the first and largest of the meal services. Things started off with a warm towel, and I had a look at the menu, which is pretty lengthy. Soon after that, the very unappetizing brown tablecloth was laid. Here's the full menu and wine list for the flight. Note that the prices on the wine list in red are my addition to the graphic to give you an idea of the wine value on board. I should note that, of course, the price of a bottle of wine is not the only important thing about it, but this was definitely the cheapest selection in first class that I've ever seen. Besides the Salon champagne, which they only serve from Japan, not much really stands out as being first class level at all. And frankly, you can't compare this list of wines, spirits, and sake to A&A. You just can't. I went with the Japanese Washuko menu and paired it with the Bilkard Salmon champagne. I made the mistake of assuming the Muse was on the menu, so I didn't take notes, but it was a Bellini with smoked salmon alongside some sort of cheese ball. The Kozara, a selection of 5 appetizers, came soon after. There's a lot of food coming, so I'll sum up all of my thoughts about it after the meal. From left to right, we have the stewed beef tongue and radish, scallop marinated in sweet vinegar sauce, herring roe and canola flour in Japanese dashi broth, pickled burdock, simmered prawn, Japanese omelet, and sweet black beans. And finally, simmered sea bream with tofu and yuzu. The next course was soup, which was a clear soup with yellowtail and watercress. Next up on the left, we have assorted seafood, including octopus, scallop, and prawn, with soy sauce foam. On the right, it's followed up by crab in sweet vinegar sauce with wakame seaweed, cucumber, and julienne ginger. For the main course, we had grilled stuffed conger eel with radish, taro, green beans, and tomato, along with miso soup, Japanese pickles, and a choice of either plain rice or sea bream rice, of which I had the latter. I had a bit of an interlude before dessert. Earlier on, I had asked to confirm that the royal blue tea was on board, which it was. When I ordered a sake, my flight attendant suggested to pair the two together with dessert, and so that's what I did. That wine bottle is actually cold tea, described as, quote, the ultimate tea, made only from the very finest hand-picked tea leaves at Shonan Cha Kobo, where tea sommeliers painstakingly produce each bottle, one by one, unquote. Last up, we had a tea pudding, which was clean and a nice way to end the meal. So, as we look out over beautiful icy Canada, a couple of notes. The good news is, the crew started to warm up a bit. What started out as very formal and buttoned up turned into, quote, the most attentive and present crew ever, as I wrote in my onboard notes. I was very happy about this. There's always a bit of imposter syndrome when sitting in first class, and so having a warm and friendly crew really does help break that ice. As for the food, the sea bream rice was the best thing that I ate. I was shocked, honestly, at how entirely forgettable the meal was. Had it not been for the videos, I'm not sure I'd be able to actually tell you a single thing that I had. Now, I fully understand that this flight was out of New York, and the best thing that I have to compare it to was my ANA first class flight out of Tokyo. So the ANA flight's food should have been better. But it wasn't better. It was hundreds of miles better. From the selection to the presentation to the flavors to the ingredients, and especially the wines, sakes, and spirits to pair it with. ANA simply kicks JAL's butt when it comes to first class food. No ifs, ands, or buts. Nothing was bad. I ate everything, but it was just simply forgettable. Okay, let's take a look at entertainment on board. Using one of your two remotes, you can navigate the screen, which felt like it was about a quarter mile away. This is actually from my following flight. It's the same system, but my clip of this flight had some weird strobing effect. There's a decent selection of movies on board, but the interface is a little bit clunky. There is Wi-Fi on board, and it's complimentary for first-class passengers. But there's a long registration process which I had to complete 3 times because it just kept refreshing over and over on its own. If you were in another class, you could purchase a full flight pass for $19, which I thought was fair. Checking out the bathrooms now, the condition of everything was top-notch. I love these older 777s that have the polished trim everywhere. The good old days of Boeing bathroom design, if there is such a thing. Other than that, though, there was not much available besides the hand lotion, a serum, and toothbrush kits. While I was away, the crew offered to turn down the center seat for me, so I had my own little apartment, a living room, and a bedroom. The bedding, I think, is one area where JAL exceeds compared to ANA. This was a different pillow and was a really nice down pillow, the likes of which you'd expect at a true luxury hotel. There's also a double-sided mattress pad, which has some substance to it. You can choose soft or firm. Simply because the seat itself was fairly firm, I went with soft. Finally, there's a really nice and cuddly comforter. So, Japan Airlines is notoriously known as having really warm cabins. I may have been lucky, but I've had like 8 flights on JAL in the past couple years, and I've never found this to be the case. Before I went in for a nap, I personally would have done a little bit cooler, so I just wanted to test it out. I asked if they would turn down the temperature just a little bit, and sure enough, within a few minutes, it was definitely cooler, which was great for sleeping. By the way, how about these views? Because of the time that we departed and us flying west, we essentially had an hours-long sunset. But then it never actually set. It made for one of the more gorgeous filming sprees that I've ever had. Coming in to edit this video, I had nearly 9 hours of video. That's too much. Here's your friendly reminder to click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with friends and family. Those are truly the easiest ways, and they're all free for you to help support the channel. If you'd like to support me further, my Patreon is also linked in the description below. Thanks very much in advance. A few hours later, the sun still setting, we were crossing into Alaska, and I decided to have a glass of wine and try out some of the a la carte items on offer, of which there were quite a few. I started out with the chilled soba noodles with Chinese-style spicy dipping soup. This could have been like 14 times spicier, but it was still warming and delicious, if not a bit basic. And to follow my chilled soba, I went with the burger, as one does. Now, I gotta hand it to them, this has to be the most beautiful burger that I've ever been presented. I mean, it doesn't even look real. This burger could have its own Instagram account. Bravo to whoever assembled this thing, which also turned out to be really good. Now though, it's time for the real views to begin. Enjoy this bit of a montage as we cross over central Alaska, with Mount McKinley eventually coming into view. Mount McKinley is the highest mountain in North America, coming in just over 20,000 feet. Around 90 minutes out from landing in Tokyo, we were proactively offered the final meal of the flight, which was a choice between Western or Japanese. I chose the Japanese, which was grass-fed beef with king oyster mushroom and red onion. This was delicious, but it was near identical to a meal that I had on JAL business class on this same flight the year prior. I did love the French press coffee though. As we approached the coastline, believe it or not, the sun finally began to set, yet again. But as far as sunsets go, this may have been the most spectacular of them all, with Mount Fuji playing a supporting role. Enjoy the views. The airport stats are coming up. So, my thoughts. Let me share two of them. A few weeks after I took this flight, a prominent channel posted a video of this same product with the title along the lines of, "This is it?" And my immediate reaction was, yeah, same. My second thought was, I honestly wasn't bummed about not trying out their new seat, and I'll tell you why. I know that with the new seat came a lot of upgrades, that blanket for one. I think personally that I'd much rather wait until that entirely new experience is more widely available across the network. On my flight, crew aside, the soft product mostly matched the hard product, and so it certainly wasn't exciting, but it wasn't disappointing per se, it was just okay. If I had this food and this soft product alongside the amazing brand new seat, now that would be a disappointing mix. So I look forward to experiencing it someday when the full package is a bit more competitive. That being said, and I do think that this is true of all airlines, just because you have first class doesn't mean that that's your best product. Personally, I think JAL does really well in economy, premium economy, and business. So, you can't have it all. I do still love the airline though, and I have 4 more JAL videos coming soon, each of them in a different seat and class of service. I think JAL has more seats than anyone at this point. So I really do hope that you enjoyed this trip report today. If you did, please be sure to click that like button and subscribe for 2 new videos each week. I'll see you next time on board the next leg of this itinerary on one of the 787-8s in business class, and we'll have a full look at the first class lounge in Haneda as well. As always, thanks for watching until the end.